Hi everyone! Today we'll be talking about one of the best singers of all time, as you may be able to tell by my shirt. We're talking Al Green. Now, I've had the pleasure of spending the last 2 weeks listening to his discography to come up with the cream of the crop. I'm calling this, undeniably, the top 10 best Al Green songs. And to stir things up a little bit, I'll have my pick for an overrated song at the end. But in the meantime, let's get to the top 10. At number 10, we have How Can You Mend a Broken Heart from Let's Stay Together. Al Green wrote many great songs, but any list would be incomplete without highlighting at least one of his fantastic covers. After all, his breakthrough was a cover of the Temptations' hit I Can't Get Next to You, and one of his most beloved tunes is his take on Chris Christopherson's For the Good Times. Green had a way of shaping songs from other artists into his own sublime image. Part of the reason for that, and really the reason why his 70s catalog was brilliant, was the impeccable band backing him. Producer mastermind Willie Mitchell assembled one of the tightest house bands ever. The High Records rhythm section featured the three Hodges brothers, Leroy on bass, Charles on organ, and Teeny on guitar, that were mainstays, along with Archie Turner on piano and Howard Grimes or Alan Jackson Jr. on drums. Their chemistry is magical. With this many ringers, it's almost hard to not make classic records. How Can You Mend a Broken Heart is a cover of a melodramatic pop song by the Bee Gees prior to their Saturday Night Fever disco glow-up. Willie Mitchell would instruct the band to play the song as if they were sitting by the river and the music was drifting out of the nearby forest. So the rhythm churns slowly, meandering for Al to lean into the melancholy blues. His voice embodies heartache as he quivers over the mesmerizing guitar line. With exquisite layers of saccharine strings and Al's nakedly vulnerable vocals, How Can You Mend a Broken Heart is my personal favorite cover from Green, and an epic slow burn symphony. At number 9, we have Full of Fire from the album of the same name. Al Green, Willie Mitchell, and the High Records rhythm section were on such a tear during the 70s that the team scored 6 number 1s on the R&B charts in less than 5 years. Something was in the water in Memphis, Tennessee at the time, because those boys were always brewing up magic. Prior to producing, Willie Mitchell had his own jazz-influenced big band, and even a few hits to his own name. While touring with his group, they got into a car accident, and this would inspire Willie to retire from the road and embrace a role as a producer. He took music incredibly seriously. He wouldn't even listen to the radio on the way to the studio, so that it wouldn't influence anything he would write that day. Mitchell would make one more album with Green after Full of Fire, but this was the beginning of the end to their fruitful collaborations. Al would soon inform Willie he wanted to record gospel. Mitchell tried to find common ground, but Green would soon leave secular music altogether to self-produce religious records. Every song on this list is from their partnership. They really brought the best out of each other. Full of Fire would be their last number 1 hit together, and you wouldn't know it from all the sparks. Al sings of a burning desire for the best things in life: dancing, music, love, and read on paper, the lyrics might seem weak. However, Green's magnetic charisma nails the jubilant feel of the arrangement, and the smoking groove played by the band is red hot, with funky guitar scratches and swinging horns. Full of Fire is a feel-good dance floor burner that brought Southern soul to the discotheque. At number 8, we have L.O.V.E. Love from Al Green is Love. Green's fans were passionate about his very sensual music, so one could only imagine when a fan turns into a lover, things might get pretty heated. It would be impossible to talk about Al without mentioning the most infamous, scandalous love story associated with him. In late 1974, Green's girlfriend at the time, Mary Woodson, asked Al when they were getting married, and became upset when he dodged the question. While Al was getting ready to go to bed, Woodson doused him with a pot of boiling hot grits, badly burning him. As he limped toward the shower, he heard her fatally shoot herself. She would leave a suicide note, and it was later revealed that she was already married, with 3 children. It's a bizarre soap opera tale, and one that Green would cite as a wake-up call to change his ways. Before he fully committed to leaving secular music behind, he still had a few years of great R&B in him. L.O.V.E. Love was a sketch of a song Willie Mitchell and Al were writing, and after guitarist Teeny Hodges showed interest in it, Willie gave him the homework to write him 8 bars for the middle. Teeny obliged and came back with the completed bridge the next day. L.O.V.E. Love is driven by the spirited walking bass line from Leroy Hodges and Howard Grimes' in-the-pocket persistent backbeat. The warm orchestrations of the Memphis strings gently rise on the chorus, accenting the arrangement. They shine angelically as Al sounds like he's had a revelation on the mysterious nature of love. He tries to relate to us its awesome, almost religious power, though he finds the words hard to articulate, crooning, "Love is a story that just can't be told." On LOVE Love, Al Green and the High Records Rhythm Band translate the mystical, transformative spirit of devotion into an inspiring, life-affirming love song to love itself. At number 7, we have I'm a Ram from Al Green Gets Next to You. Al was steadily focused on music from a young age. At 10, he started performing with his sisters in a group named the Green Brothers. A child of a large family with 9 siblings, he would be kicked out of his house as a teenager by his devout father for daring to listen to the heathen sounds of doo-wop crooner Jackie Wilson. He would move in with a friend who happened to sing tenor in a group called The Creations. Al would join them, and they would later change their name to Al Green and the Soulmates. That band would score a minor hit with the song Backup Train, but failed to find a winning follow-up. While touring with the Soulmates, Green would get in touch with Willie Mitchell, who would hire Al to sing at a gig with his group. Mitchell was blown away by Green's raw potential and talked him into signing a contract with High Records, fronting the singer $1,500 as an advance. Soon enough, they would change music history together. On their first record, Green is Blues, it was mainly covers, as the team tried to discover Al's voice. By their next album, Al Green Gets Next to You, he had already grown by leaps and bounds. His breakthrough cover of I Can't Get Next to You would become a big hit, even though the Temptations already rode it up the charts. Its slowed down swampy groove flipped the Temp's upbeat swinger on its head. Off the same album, I'm a Ram has a similar gritty swagger. Teeny Hodges plays a winding, bluesy guitar lick that paces the strutting rhythm, supplanted by the bombastic call and response horns. Al sounds positively galvanized in his desire to get next to the apple of his eye, confidently grunting, I'm a ram, yes I am, and I know just what to do. Think I'll drive on and try to get next to you. I'm a Ram is an irresistibly fun slice of southern fried funk that easily stands tall among his best jams. At number 6, we have Take Me to the River from Al Green Explores Your Mind. It's hard to believe, but one of Green's most well-known songs wasn't even released as a single. Instead of Al putting it out, Willie Mitchell took the song to fellow High Records label mate Syl Johnson, who added some bluesy harmonica and wrote it to the top 10 of the R&B charts. The song's journey wouldn't end there. 3 years later, a version by Talking Heads with an anxious, creeping rhythm would give the art rockers their mainstream breakthrough hit and become a classic rock radio staple. Most humorously though, Al would claim he was paid the most royalties from licensing Take Me to the River to Big Mouth Billy Bass, an animatronic novelty that was popular in the early 2000s. I don't think I'll ever understand why we were so fascinated with that dead-eyed singing fish. Al wrote the song with Teeny Hodges over a 3-day stay at a cabin in Lake Hamilton, Arkansas. Green had claimed that he had a religious epiphany in 1973, and the lyrics he contributed were inspired by a baptism ceremony he attended nearby. Al then scribbled down the chorus, "Take me to the river and wash me down. Won't you cleanse my soul, put my feet on the ground." He then presented that to Teeny, who added the verses and fleshed it into a fully formed song. The differences between the two men's lyrics creates a striking juxtaposition. On the verses, Green laments his lover stringing him along. On the build-up, he asks, am I in love to stay? Before he pleads in the ecstatic chorus to be submerged in the holy waters to wash his sins away. The band boogies with swells of electric organ from Charles Hodges and the Memphis strings and the Memphis horns trading off, complementing the melody. Take Me to the River is a cleverly conflicted spiritual where Al Green sings straight to the heavens. At number 5, we have I'm Still in Love with You from the album of the same name. Due to the massive success of Let's Stay Together, Willie Mitchell and co. were eager to strike while the iron was hot. The follow-up to that LP would be released in the same calendar year, 9 months later. From the title track to the sequencing, I'm Still in Love with You is as close to an album having a sequel without literally calling it Part 2. It took the same winning playbook from Let's Stay Together and ran it back. Al, Willie, and the whole High Records crew were on such a creative roll, it's every bit as fantastic. Although the album sessions were fast-tracked, they still took a painstaking amount of time to get the songs right. Al was a notorious vocal perfectionist. He would spend hours on end to nail the final take. It's the kind of thing that would probably be infuriating to work with, but his stubborn determination pays off incredibly. Throughout the LP, every cry, coo, and whisper is delivered in the most impassioned, rewarding way. as if Al Green has lived these songs and he is singing his unfiltered emotions. On I'm Still in Love with You, his voice bends from a smooth tenor to a silky falsetto. He's not the only divine vocals on the song either. Like some of the best songs from Green, the floating backups from the Rhodes sisters, Donna and Sandra, are pitch-perfect compliments to the sweet melody, echoing the dreamy refrain, I'm still in love with you. The band plays slowly and suggestively, with delicate guitar and feather-light drumming, and combined with Green's navel-gazing lyrics, it sets the mood for fawning puppy dog love, a comfortable state of bliss. I'm Still in Love with You is an intoxicating, invigorating jam where Al Green keeps the midnight oil burning bright. At number 4, we have Here I Am, Come and Take Me, from Call Me. I'm Still in Love with You continued Al and Willie's winning streak. They were too hot to slow down, really. After releasing 2 classic albums in 1972, the next LP, Call Me, would follow in early '73. In a little over a year's time, Al Green had exploded into a soul icon with back-to-back-to-back dynamite, completely essential albums. Call Me is widely cited as his all-time best. Only 9 songs long, each one displaying Green's seemingly limitless range. The High Records rhythm section were a fine-tuned machine, with a supernatural premonition of where Al wanted to take the songs. Whether it was the restrained optimism of You Oughta Be With Me, sounding like smiling through the pain, or his wistful cover of Willie Nelson's Funny How Time Slips Away, with a delicate sway, as if you're watching the leaves change from the rocking chair on your back porch. While the album is probably best enjoyed as a whole, Here I Am, Come and Take Me is a clear standout, once again written by Al and Teeny. On the song, Green is practically begging for his lover to return to him, but the confident rhythm and bright brass arrangement makes it feel like there isn't a single doubt she'll take him back. The Memphis Horns, composed of Wayne Jackson on trumpet and Andrew Love on tenor sax, were studio ringers around Soulsville, not only playing on many of Green's classics, but also on many hits from Stax Records. The duo's bold brass constantly shifts between echoing Green's vocal lines and creating catchy counter melodies, always adding urgent propulsion. Here I Am, Come and Take Me is a slightly arrogant plea, where Al Green is too cocky and cool to be worried. After all, how could he get too down when his band is this electric? At number 3, we have Tired of Being Alone, from Al Green Gets Next to You. On a wintry day after a show, Al Green woke up before dawn with a song swimming around his mind. Lovesick from missing his sweetheart and fed up with the solitude of rural motels on tour, he started writing, I'm so tired of being alone, won't you help me, girl? The tune poured out of him, only taking a half hour to write. It would take longer than that to convince Willie to let him record it. Mitchell thought of Al as more of a singer than a writer. After a full day's sessions, when the crew had some time left, Green once again mentioned his little ditty, and they agreed to run through it. Tired of Being Alone would originally be recorded for inclusion on his first High Records LP, Green is Blues, but due to technical issues, it didn't make the album, and would be re-recorded for his next LP. While the song is a timeless standard now, it wasn't an immediate success. Tired of Being Alone was the 5th and final single from Al Green Gets Next to You, and didn't really make waves initially. Al would say he personally went to the London Records office in New York to convince them to really push the record, demanding they listen to it. The label couldn't turn him down, and promoted the record in major US markets. Lo and behold, 7 months after it was issued, Green was proven right. The tune would become his highest charting hit yet. Tired of Being Alone sets a daydreaming tone, with shimmering, harp-like guitar cleanly plucking each note, and evocative horns like some inner clarion call. Green's voice is already a masterclass of talent, quavering with a tender longing feeling, punctuated by a superhuman falsetto that flares when his emotions almost overwhelm him. The rhythm section keeps it superbly steady as the arrangement gently builds until it ignites with the final title refrain from the Rhodes sisters, tailor-made for the audience to sing along to, and fading out so the hook stays firmly planted in your mind. One of the handful of songs written solely by Al, Tired of Being Alone is an aching, lovelorn ballad so straight to the point that its yearning is universally relatable. At number 2, we have Love and Happiness from I'm Still in Love with You. Tired of Being Alone wasn't the only song by Al Green that had a winding road to becoming one of his signature tunes. The same could be said for Love and Happiness. High Records declined to market the song as a single, instead releasing 3 other singles from I'm Still in Love with You. Once again, Al seemed to sense something in the song that others didn't, and would play a hot fire performance on Soul Train, with the whole band live, which was rare for a show where groups often played to pre-recorded material. From there, its legend grew, and it slowly gained popularity on US radio after callers demanded to hear it. Love and Happiness would finally be properly released as a single in 1977 to sell an underwhelming volume 2 of his greatest hits, and to boost Green's lagging sales. Love and Happiness has to be in the running for the best groove of all time. It was once again written between Al and Teeny. Hodges would say they had a hard time getting the timing right after Green's a cappella intro. After countless tries, they would finally get perfectly in the pocket. And in the studio recording, you could hear Teeny count off the time tapping his foot on a wooden Coke crate. His sliding guitar riff rings, and then the whole band launches into a gritty, vicious rhythm. Howard Grimes plays an unstoppable backbeat in a steady simmer, given extra drive from Leroy Hodges' nimble bass lines and the church hall humming of Charles Hodges' electric organ. Al cuts his vocal cords loose, sounding positively raw, invigorated by the skin-tight ensemble. His voice seemingly possessed. He scats, raps, and vamps like he's giving a sermon. On Love and Happiness, the future reverend leads a spirited service to preach about affection and devotion over an explosive, impossibly funky jive that just won't quit. At number 1, we have Let's Stay Together from the album of the same name. It's a song that turned a rising soul singer into a suave 70s sex symbol, and a tune so damn frisky that countless children have been conceived to it. You may be surprised to hear that Al didn't even want to record Let's Stay Together at first. He didn't believe it was a hit. Green wanted to follow up Tired of Being Alone with a funky, upbeat number, but Al Jackson Jr. and Willie Mitchell had other plans. Jackson Jr., the drummer for Stax house band Booker T and the MGs, had been working with Willie on a slow, romantic song and tried to talk Al into writing words for it. Not seeing much potential, Green said he wrote the basic words in 5 minutes. The band rehearsed the tune, but Al and Willie fought on and off for 2 days before Green finally agreed to record it. Mitchell would recall it as the only fight he ever had with Al over whether it was really a hit. Even after Green ran through 100 takes to find one he liked, he still wasn't sold. He detested the thin sound of his falsetto on the track. Willie simply told Al the song had magic on it. He wasn't lying. On Let's Stay Together, every single note, sound, and breath exquisitely combine into a passionate, intimate ode to staying faithful. Green whispers the title like light foreplay before his golden voice stretches out the first line. I am so in love with you. Jackson Jr. plays the drum kit softly, along with the tender sway of the rhythm section, with the rest of the arrangement, soulful backup singing, sumptuous strings, graceful guitar strums, all lushly surrounding Al's arousing and arresting vocals. Look no further for the reason why Green is one of the best singers of all time. Full stop. Let's Stay Together is a sonically rich, amorous anthem equally suited for babies making babies and couples staying together till death do us part. It's sentimental without being sappy, romantic without being corny, unabashedly sexy, and an utterly charming love song that will last forever. And now, I'll add 2 more songs that almost made the list. The first would be Simply Beautiful. It's a song written by Al Green alone, and with Green himself playing the understated jazzy acoustic. He didn't plan on playing 6-string on this though. He didn't consider himself a professional, and asked Teeny to play on it. But Hodges saw through him, calling him out as being shy, and he refused to play on it. After a bit of back and forth, Al reluctantly agreed to play guitar. His soft fretwork almost hesitates, but in doing so, it perfectly suits the soft afterglow that seems post-coital as Al coos tenderly. He shudders as he sees the irresistible Aphrodite in front of him, and gently murmurs, "Simply Beautiful." The arrangement is so bare and naked that the song's erotic intimacy almost seems voyeuristic. Simply Beautiful is pure innuendo to the ears. The other near miss would be Call Me, Come Back Home. As the first song on the album of the same name, it announces the 3-dimensional panoramic depth of the LP. Echoey, distant vocals hang like ghosts from the past. Call me, keeping distance between Al and his lover. While the pristine, spidery guitar rings sweetly, the song has an undeniable edge. A sweeping string section and phantom brass trumpeting the minor key gives the song a mysterious uncertainty. Can Green say the right things to get her back? Call Me's seductive soul has an unshakable duality between light and dark that illustrate Al Green's artful talent to manipulate the listener's emotions with the subtle way he chooses to use his voice. Call Me is another fine showcase of the genius of Al Green and deserves to be mentioned among his best. Finally, let's talk about what I consider to be Al Green's most overrated song, and that is Everything's Gonna Be Alright. It was a minor hit in the 80s whose stature has apparently grown. On YouTube, it's Al's 8th most played song, even beating out several stone cold classics I've already listed, and it's really unclear to me why that is. Green had already dove into the gospel scene for years by this time. 2 years prior, he reunited with Willie Mitchell on the album He Is the Light. And with the team back together, Al sounds nearly vintage. Even with the religious themes throughout, it was a welcome return to classic Memphis soul. Both the title track and True Love were spiritual music that retained a natural earthiness with the help of Mitchell's light touch. Everything's Gonna Be Alright was probably state of the art at the time, but its thin, tinny drum machine beats sound so shoddy and cheap. The whole vibe of the song seems insincere and bordering on cheesy, like it's some kind of dated public service announcement for Jesus. It was written and produced by the duo of Eben Kelly and Jimmy Randolph, songwriting luminaries who would later write for New Kids on the Block. I think the boys hoped the song's uplifting higher power spirit would distract from the discount Grandmaster Flash electro beats and lukewarm synth melody. Green's voice sounds sturdy and strong, but his performance is hardly anything special. Maybe it's too much to expect Prime Al to show up, yet like the lyrics, his presence feels forced and half-hearted. On Everything's Gonna Be Alright, if you don't listen too hard, you might believe Al Green is getting his groove back. But the tune really comes up short from measuring up to his glory days. To me, I can't help but think that it's overrated. As you're still watching, I wanted to share a deep cut as well. For that, I'm shining a light on Sweet Song. This last gem was recorded in March 1977, prior to Al self-producing his next LP, the Bell album. Sweet Song would remain in the vaults until the 90s, when it first appeared on compilations. It's hard to believe Green never thought to rework the song. There is something winningly pure about its slight simplicity. The words are straightforward, about the humbling joys of music and the almighty Lord who has transformed him. He sounds jovial and reborn as he preaches with positive force over the gentle, galloping rhythm. The song never feels quite as heavy-handed as his later gospel work, though. Its low-key groove and feather-light shuffle, an ideal antidote to the everyday blues. We gotta sing a real sweet song this time. In a catalog full of diamonds, Sweet Song is a forgotten treasure that deserves to be part of your playlist. If you haven't heard it, you should check it out. So there you have it. That was undeniably the top 10 best Al Green songs. So, how wrong was I? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What's your list look like? Do you think Everything's Gonna Be Alright is one of his best songs? Let me know. And if there's any song I missed, let me know in the comments below. Hope you stick around, and thank you for watching. It's hard to not make classic record. End to their fruitful He heard her fade. L-O-V-E. Though he finds the words hard to. Dang it. He had a religious epiphany. The differences between the two men's lyrics create a striking and the church hall humming of churls surrounding Al's song swimming in his mouth. As soon as I started saying it, I'm like, no.